another episode of the Wadhwani Viewpoint podcast. My name is Manali Shah, and today's conversation is about making it big as a tech startup. Joining us is Meghna Saraogi, the founder and CEO of mirrAR, an omni-channel solution that uses augmented reality to let businesses provide their customers with a chance to virtually try on jewelry, watches, sunglasses, makeup, and a whole lot more. Meghna, welcome to the show. Could you introduce yourself and mirrAR to our audience?
Hi, thank you so much for having me here, Manali. I'm Meghna Saraogi. I'm the founder and CEO of mirrAR. So mirrAR was started in 2017. With a vision to let people experience and try on things virtually without having to have access of it. To give you a brief on what the journey was. So the parent company Style.me was started in 2015, and the whole idea was to let women feel nice about themselves. I come from Indore, which is a tier 2 city. So when I moved to Delhi and Bangalore for my education and then job, what I realized was that I was a very underconfident girl. And when you see so many things differently in these metro cities, you realize that you didn't have that exposure, right? So one of the biggest challenge was that I felt there weren't many options for me to explore when it comes to fashion in Indore then. Also, women coming from tier 3, tier 2 cities are usually a little less confident than people in metro cities because, the way they were decked up, the way the hair would be blow dried, and the way, they would have those bags and shoes and clothes. I was really mesmerized. So we started Style.me with the vision to change the way people shop. Started with an instant fashion advice platform and pivoted to mirrAR in 2017. So the aim was that, without actually having the access to multiple designs, products, etc., how a brand can sell and how a consumer like me sitting across the globe can experience those things before they buy it. So we started with jewelry industry. We had Tanishq as one of our first customers. Today we work with around 45 jewelry brands globally. We've also started with different verticals now, which is makeup, eyewear, watches. And now, you can in a second probably try 10 shades of lipsticks and see how it looks on you before you buy it. So our vision is that everything that you see online, you should be able to experience it either on yourself or in your real environment virtually before you buy it. So you exactly know what you're buying.
That's incredible. And I can say from personal experience that these kind of technologies have really helped me, especially when you're just window shopping online and then you get tempted to buy it because you know exactly how it's going to look on you. So coming to the questions, you started up in 2015 with Style.me, and back then AR and VR weren't popular technologies. They weren't certainly as popular as they are today. So how important is it for startups to look ahead at new and emerging technologies and try and gauge the scope that it could have?
So even though mirrAR was started in 2017, even then AR VR was not so popular. So I'll tell you what excited me to build mirrAR. I was very intrigued by Snapchat filters, and when I saw filters can be on your face in your real environment, right? And we all would remember this doggy filter, which you take out your tongue and it's like a dog tongue out. I thought it was damn cool. And I saw so many people around me who were just so addicted to all these filters. So even though those filters / augmented reality was not like the thing for retail, I thought if it could be integrated into retail, brands will be able to show more products. And as a customer, I'll have access to so many things which I don't have physically. So I think that's something that I could think ahead of its time. Obviously, there were so many challenges because it was my thought, but people we were trying to sell to were not thinking, in that direction. So it took some time, but I think if you can, if you believe in something and if you see like a future, it's always nice to at least experiment, see. And I think what really worked for us was having a client who was ready to pay a pilot cost for us, for something which did not exist. So we were literally one of the first companies in India specifically to do AR in real time. And there was literally no one who did it before us. So I mean, it was that plunge that we were very confident that we wanted to take. But what also gave us that validation was these clients paying us money to have this technology.
So apart from a client willing to fund a pilot cost or the initial cost, what are the other factors that determine a founder's confidence in investing time, effort, and resources towards new and emerging technologies?
So I think one very important thing is the market size. And with Snapchat becoming so popular, huge, and then Instagram also coming up with filters, what we could see was that augmented reality was here to stay. And I think there were several touch points which made us feel that today it might not be as popular or it's not in vogue, but eventually this will become the new normal. And I'll tell you how, from a retail perspective, me, my team, investors, everyone thought that, okay, this is the right direction to move. If you see how internet has evolved over the years, right? So when it started few decades back, there was only text, and then came static images, right? Where people would just put pictures of one product, probably the most terrible picture sometimes, because they won't spend time, energy, and money on that content, right? And then suddenly content became king, where everyone would have a different budget for content. And now you will see those images have already turned into videos. So even if it's lipstick, probably there will be a video which will show you how a lipstick will look, but you are seeing that lipstick on someone else's face, right? If you go and buy a lipstick, even in a store, you won't put it on your lips, but you'll put it on your wrist. And I think those were the roots, or those were the thought process that we had, and we said, okay, till now this is what's happening, what's next? So we were constantly thinking and building for the future. We weren't trying to be a part of the wave that was right then, but we said, okay, abhi tak ye ho raha hai, what is it that's going to happen tomorrow? And that's when we realized that with all of this, experiential shopping is going to probably be a very big thing. So imagine everything that you're seeing on the internet, you're able to experience on yourself. So, learning from different point of views of these big tech giants that were working on, right? So apart from Snap, Google was trying to do something in the similar space where they tried to do beauty in AR on Google Shopping. Then Facebook suddenly changed the entire name to Meta, and I think that was one of the huge validation. Obviously, it came a little later, but even when we started, we realized that whether it was Facebook, Instagram, everyone was trying to adapt. So I think we saw this as a very huge opportunity, and sometimes, there is a pros and cons. When there is no competition or very little competition, you tend to ask yourself whether it's a small market, that's why people are not entering, or something like this will not exist at all. Or you can think it from other perspective, that it's such a new market that you leverage the first mover advantage. I think what we really focused was that we said, okay, we'll be one of the first movers and we'll build our product to a level where we always be the best in what we're doing in the technology. So I think that those were the conviction. Definitely the market, also the technology was evolving. Yes, that's a very important part, right? The technology was evolving, the smartphones, right? The camera quality were becoming better. So these things added up to our decision of focusing and staying with AR. And as we grew, we saw several points where we realized that okay, this is it, like literally on the right path. As I said, Facebook changing its name to Meta. Obviously, Metaverse is like a very huge part of the overall vision for Meta, but augmented reality is a very strong part of Metaverse itself. I mean, everything that Metaverse will do will start with AR. So I think those were the things where we realized that, okay, we are literally like on the right path.
And with that conviction, how do you also mitigate the risks that come with working with emerging technologies?
So, for some, I mean, we always just ensure that we are ahead of its time. I think risk for us and how we calculate or see risk is that obviously now suddenly people have started reducing their tech cost, etc. So AR will probably come at the bottom of the funnel and people will start removing it, right? So that's one point. The second is also that what if someone tries to be better than us, or tomorrow suppose if like a very big tech company decides to take this up and has more clients than us, then we'll be dead and things like that. So I think for the part where we think that competition can kill us, we have ensured to build a product which is the best in the industry. When you look at the experience that you get through mirrAR, I can vouch you won't get it on any other platform, right? So that's one part where we are constantly ahead of any other competition. The second is that, in situations where we feel that we'll become irrelevant altogether, right? When someone will say, okay, I don't need it. What we've also done is that we work on very strong data. So we have clear ROIs defined. If today as a brand, you are able to see that I am giving you an ROI where your sales are constantly increasing, your engagement is improving, your return rates are going down, and that number is so substantial that you can't remove me. That is what we are focusing on, where we ensure that our ROI is absolutely so strong that the brand wouldn't want to remove us. And at the same time, as I said, that with the technology constantly evolving and growing, we just have to ensure that we are ahead of everyone else. So we are constantly evolving, we are constantly coming up with new things, not just in the product or in the one domain that we are in, but now we are also coming out with different verticals to make the risk as less as possible.
Right. And when a startup is entering a new tech domain, how should they go about understanding the market needs as well as the market size?
So I think market need is, so we specifically did a lot of research. We spoke to a lot of people. We saw their reactions, not just, so, there were two kind of people that we reached out to. One was obviously the brands and the CXOs, marketing heads, innovation heads of these top brands. And the second was the end consumer, because even though we are B2B, our product is ideally used by the end customer, right? So we did a lot of research and R&D with these people, also understanding that where are we missing, where is the gap. So for example, we also became part of, especially in the jewelry, we became part of couple of government or associations, made some of top management people there as our mentors and advisors who would go through our products, see it, understand. So one part is technology, the other part is business. Unless these two merges very well, it won't be used in the best way. So we realized that we are great with the technology, with the product, but I'm not a jeweler. No one in my team is a jeweler, right? So how do we look at from their perspective where they find value in it? So I think we really worked hard on ensuring that we are relevant to the industry that we are focusing on.
Right. And what about finding the right product market fit?
I think you feel you found the right product market fit when there are multiple people who are paying you every single month without chance. I think that is one of the biggest validation. But also, as I said, as I mentioned about the ROI, when we show these numbers to our brands, right, and when they see this data and that thrill that we see on their faces, that excitement, that happiness, is something that makes us feel that there is a product market fit. So honestly, I think it's only recently, like few quarters back, that and when we were able to show these numbers, we realized that finally we have found the product market fit. Because every month after month, there are clients who are paying us and they are growing. Not just paying us the fixed amount that's been decided, but also because our pricing works on usage, the usage is increasing, right? And they're okay paying us that extra amount. And as I said, from the ROI that's defined, it's a very clear indication of how not just the technology, not just the brands who are adapting, but also the end consumers who are adapting to new technology so much. And if you look at especially the Gen Z or the millennials, they are just so used to being on their phones all the time that anything which is focused on phones or focused on internet or giving you those experience is bound to work. I think the attention span is so less for people right now, right? Like you do anything and suddenly you'll start typing or seeing your phone on different apps. So the attention span for people have gone so less that the minute you see something which is experiential, like imagine if I am seeing myself in a red lipstick right now, I would probably want to swipe and see 5 more shades and see how it looks on me. The technology has already hooked me there right away, because in a scenario where I was not giving even a minute to like going to a store, exploring, here I'm sitting and trying everything like at the comfort of my home. So I think that is when you realize that there is product market fit. And another thing is obviously clients' testimonials. Like when you hear from your clients who are paying you saying this is driving business to them, this is adding value to their brands. So without taking name, I was in a conference and in one of the panels, coincidentally, there was someone who was as a CXO position of that brand that we work with. And suddenly one of the questions was about technology and adaptation of technology, because people take time to adapt to tech, right? And this gentleman very graciously said that, we started using this AR technology before COVID, and we would not use it properly, and we thought probably it doesn't work. In COVID, we all had extra time, so we said, okay, let's try and use it. And he said, now it's in all my stores. Now I'm able to generate sales more out of this, and my customers are so happy, they are able to engage with this. And the pointers that he mentioned, and without knowing that I'm in the audience, and me without knowing that I'll be able to experience such a beautiful talk and moment hearing about what we are building. Those are things that gives you the confidence of product market fit.
Right, and taking off from what you said about the COVID, the pandemic really accelerating the use of these kind of technologies. But I want to take on another aspect that you mentioned, that a lot of businesses still work the traditional way. Today, mirrAR, of course, partners with Tanishq, with Hazoori Lal and Sons, with Forevermark. So with businesses who are still traditional in their thinking, what would be your advice for founders looking to convince them to try out something different and new?
So I'll tell you, it's very difficult to change mindsets. And I'm going to be very honest. We have tried left, right, center. We have burnt our hands doing things which didn't work. And at one point, we had around 250 jewelers just in India who were using mirrAR, right? And what we've realized is that people who are used to working in a certain way changes only with mindsets. So there are people who will see other brands, like when Tanishq started using us, a lot of people saw Tanishq and it was an aspiration, right? Even they might not have the right mindset, they might not have the budget also, but the aspiration was there that okay, I want to have something like this, or I want to be innovative, or I think sometimes it also becomes about their positioning, where they want to come across as a tech friendly enabled company or a brand, right? But because of the mindset blockage or shifts, I would say, they're not able to adapt to it. So even if you take a technology or buy it, but if you don't have the right resources, right people, right mindset to use it, you will be just wasting it. And that's what happened with us. So to anyone who's looking to change mindset, my advice would be the time will come, but it's going to be a long journey, right? We've taken like years to be where we are today, and like, at one point brands who would say we would never use this are now our customers. But it takes a lot of time to change mindset, to educate them, to also make them understand what their competition who's using it is benefiting and things like that. So it's a journey of patience and persistence. Please don't rush is going to be my advice.
That's very valuable advice indeed. So it's a long process to get to where you are. You've got to keep at it and be patient. And say once you acquire a customer, more importantly, to retain the customer, how would you go about it, especially if you are creating a new segment?
So I think one of the most important things is to keep the customer engaged. So we ensure that I personally do a quarterly call with the CXOs to understand, like, what are their thoughts, how are they trying to, integrate more and more technology into their businesses, where can we help, and things like that. The second is to have a very strong operations team that ensures that if there is a problem that arises now, it needs to be like at least addressed now. So to give you an example, we started working with one of the largest jewelry brands in US, and for the first 1-2 weeks after the launch, I realized that and we were in a pilot phase, okay, and they were doing A/B testing with 2 other companies who were in US. So we were in India and we were the only ones who didn't have that leverage of same time. So first 2 weeks I realized that, we get emails with issues, bugs, etc. at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. And by the time we reply, it's like 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. in the morning, because that's when we wake up and see the email and then the team responds, right? And we collectively decided that this will not work. We lose them. And what we did was we got a team member to work in the US time zone. And then if an email would come at 2 a.m., by 2:05 it would be replied, and by probably 3 a.m. it would be resolved. And that's the reason we actually got the final deal. So I think, having that empathy, ensuring that, the team who is your POC or working along with you have that comfort zone with you, where they are able to come across very honestly and say, hey, this is working, this is not working, and also demand iterations or seek help. Because if you don't work as a team with the other company, there is a high chance that you'll be replaced by someone else tomorrow. So I think we ensured that apart from the fact that we'll make sure that our product is the best, having that communication, constant interactions with teams at the CXO level, along with the team who is on ground and like doing it, literally worked really amazingly for us. So even today, that's the way we work, where we ensure that, there is like a weekly check-in call, and then there is a monthly call and a quarterly call at different levels to ensure that the engagement, our relation, everything is like going happily with everyone. So yeah.
That's wonderful. And how should one approach marketing and communications in this kind of a scenario when you're building something new and encouraging old school customers also to adopt something new?
So here, because I'm talking about B2B, I'll talk mainly on communication and marketing on that front. So how we do is, I'm usually part of most of the top conferences or events of these sectors where I'm either a keynote speaker or in one of the panels. So what happens is, when as I told earlier, that because of the mindset, right, they have been working in certain way for years. So when you see someone constantly speak at these events which are known and popular, those people come across as thought leaders for you, right? So I think what worked for us was to be seen at most of these events, magazines, associations, and be a part of it and engage with them constantly, because then they look up to you, and probably not today, not tomorrow, not day after tomorrow, but someday they'll come to you and say, hey, I've been seeing you since X amount of time, and I really like what you're doing. Like, tell me, how can we work together? And that's happened to us like literally all the time here. So I think it's a lot about positioning and the relevant data, relevant information. It's more about teaching also in some way, educating in some way about the tech that you're building, and more than boasting about like how fancy is the tech, it's about how it's going to help them. How is it going to make their life easier? How it's going to get them more sales? How it's going to get them more customers? So I think it is more to do about understanding and talking constantly about what they need.
Right. Very important in the B2B space for sure.
And that's how we position the entire marketing language also. So, I mean, there's no point for us to do marketing. I mean, even we do, but platform like LinkedIn's are more appropriate for us, where there are CXOs or a marketing head or a innovation head of brands, rather than being more aggressive on social media platforms. And so I think, as I said, coming across as a thought leader is the kind of communication that we like to position, and that's what has been working beautifully for us.
Absolutely. And now coming to the investment side of things, in 2020, during the pandemic, you raised 3.5 crores. How did you go about successfully convincing investors of a technology that's still emerging and that it has the potential to go really big?
I think finding investors is about finding people who have the same mindset, or who believes in what you're building. So I think investors invest in two things. One is, and that's my view, but one is a big market and a big problem that you're solving. But apart from that, I think most of my investors invest in founders, and what they saw was a very clear path that mirrAR had, and I as the founder could show them. And secondly, they saw that how we've been persistent ever since 2015, and augmented reality really excited some of the investors who invested in our company, where they said, and I mean, the minute they saw, they were like, wow, this is the future. And then we were all like, the future is now. So I think it's about, and to be honest, I've reached out to like hundreds of investors, and I've got rejections, most of the time. But I think I'm grateful for people who chose to believe in this journey and be a part of it, knowing that this is not going to be an easy ride, because the market is new and it's an evolving market. But then, also there are investors who want to be a part of your like early days struggle, journey, etc. And I think it's about finding the right fit for you, for your company, investors who will believe in you, who will. So, I think one of my first investors ever. And what I learned was, it's very important to have angels, right? Who'll believe in you 100%. Because it's great that today mirrAR is doing well, and we're literally raising another round right now. But most important part is that they need to believe in you, that as a founder, you will find some other way. See, businesses keep changing. We all know that. People who invested in Style.me's idea, the Style.me idea doesn't exist anymore right now. We are working on mirrAR, and I think early stage investors and angels know that the businesses might change. What they really see and believe is the team, and if the team will be able to pull off literally anything if the time, like if the plan doesn't go how it's projected. So I think it's about finding the right investor in the right market segment that you are building.
That's perfectly summed up. And is there a strategy that you can put in place for finding the right kind of investors?
I think, online you can find, so if, for example, you're building SaaS, you'll know which are the top investors or angels at whatever stage you are who are investing in SaaS. Like if I'm building SaaS, there is no point for me to go to an investor who's only investing in like EV cars or, any other domain. So I think a domain expertise is very, very important. And to see that which investor invest only in those specific domains. There are obviously investors who are sector agnostic and who invest in any sector that excites them. But I think if you can have a list of, investors, cold emails have worked for me, but I would always recommend a reference. So if you could find people who could refer you to those investors and get a meeting schedule, nothing like it. I think that's the best way to reach out to people. So a lot of my cold emails went into trash, I guess. But then whenever I tried to find a connect and then get referred, that's worked amazingly. So I would suggest just, have a list of people that you would want to reach out to. Sometimes, as I said, you'll do your research and study and know who's investing in the domain that you're looking for. But also sometimes like you have these idols, right? And you think like, wow, only if I can have this VC or I can have this angel. Just try and find a good reference, someone who can refer you just for a call or a demo or a meetup, and I think that works.
Right. I think a lot of founders will really benefit from your experiences and the learnings that you're sharing on the podcast right now. So I have a slightly different question. Now in 2020, the Indian AR and VR market was valued at $1.83 billion US. And since then, of course, we've all seen the market just grow at a very steady pace. So now, with a lot more organizations open to adopting technology after the pandemic, what is your strategy to make the most of the exploding addressable market in terms of increasing your market share?
So one of the most important direction that we took was that we started with jewelry, but we realized that in just jewelry, we are doing like a few million try-ons every month now, which is making our machine learning model very strong. And because of jewelry, we build our own ear tracking model, neck tracking model, things like that. And we detect a lot of points on the face. So because our model is getting stronger, what we have done is, so we do face and hands because of like rings and bracelets. So now we've expanded our categories. That automatically makes our market far more bigger. So earlier when we were just in one category, which was jewelry, had X market size. Today we have makeup, which is like a $850 billion market, just in makeup, right? And then we have watches. So anything to do with your face, your hands, and anything that you want to see in your real environment. So for example, if there is a bag, and if you want to see how a bag, big, small, will look in your closet, on your table, you can do it through mirrAR. So I think we focused on expanding our categories that will help us expand our market. And apart from that, we also realized that so AR is a part of the tech budget that brands have, right? Like the overall tech budget. So what we also explored, evaluated is what are the other tech complementary tech like around AR. So for example, we work on image recognition, right? So, and with our data, we also give a similar image kind of thing, basically recommend people what they can also look apart from the things that they are seeing. So we are also working parallelly on those things to enhance the overall tech stack that we'll give to any brand. So one is the vertical, I mean the different domains. Second is this, and third and most important is the geography that we work on. We started with India, and now we are working in US and Europe. We're also looking at UAE. So these are three different ways where we are looking to spread our market exponentially.
Wonderful. And while you seek to increase your market share, you would also have plans to scale up as an organization. So how are you going about that process, and what should one keep in mind at this stage?
So, we are expanding organization at different levels. So one is the team, the second is the technology, and the third is obviously these different verticals. So what we are trying to do right now is, because jewelry is something that we've been working for the past 5 years now, and over the period of time, what we've done is we have created processes which are very strong. So we literally want at one point the jewelry domain to be literally working on an autopilot mode, right? Only then you'll be able to scale. So whether now it's a jewelry or a makeup or whatever, our dashboards, our backend has become so strong that in few clicks any brand can come and start using us. So I think that's our way to scale exponentially, or to plan how do we scale in different ways, is to first have very strong processes and structures. Secondly, obviously hire more people at the leadership position, which we are right now in the process of doing. And third is to have short-term and long-term goals. So I've realized that the minute you tell even yourself that in the next 2 years I'm going to do that, but what am I doing like next week, right? So I think we are also creating OKRs, and OKRs are really working for us, where each person is responsible for that specific targets, and they take 100% ownership in ensuring that that's worked. So I think it's also to ensure that your team is motivated to a level, existing team, that whatever they do is absolutely of the best quality. They are able to achieve everything that the company has decided together along with them, so that when the new team members come, like that's the kind of culture they see, and that's how the team grows. So yeah, these are few ways that we are looking to grow now.
And with that, we come to an end of this episode of the Wadhwani Viewpoint podcast with Meghna Saraogi, the founder and CEO of mirrAR. My name is Manali Shah, and I'll see you in the next one.